This is the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino and SP3 on the Bleav Podcast Network.
All right, I have gotten the order from up high, and by up high, I mean my number one guy. The S to the P to the 1, 2, 3, Sid Puller III. I have been told we need to make this quick because my man got boosted today, and he feeling it.
Boosted! Oh man, I don't know what made me feel worse, getting boosted or watching this episode of Raw.
There were some good things on it.
There was some good things on it, but overall, this was a boring show. that is my biggest takeaway. It's a boring show with 2 to 3 good matches on
it. They do have some really good things working on Monday Night Raw, but the problem is they don't, and it's not that they have a lack of talent. It's that they, for whatever reason, don't give enough effort to make the entire show good. They have some really, really good pieces. There's some stuff that's not good yet that I think definitely has potential, and maybe we'll talk about a couple of those things coming up here soon. But yeah, like more often than not, when I watch Raw, I get more excited about where things are heading and what the future could hold than what I'm presently watching, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, because it's WWE and it doesn't make any sense to be optimistic about things.
I'll tell you one thing I am optimistic about is this card at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that WWE does better than anybody is build up hype, especially around a major match like Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. That package that they put together tonight was arguably the best thing that we saw on the whole damn show. We'll take that out of the equation when we get into the 5 count, because I'm going to ask you, Sid, there were some good things, but I'm going to ask you what the best thing you saw on the show was tonight. We had people complaining look, we get so damn negative on this, Sid. Don't give me your eyes, all right? Don't give me the damn eyes. We get so negative on this show. I want to talk about the positive things for one damn time if we can. So let's focus on some positive things. But we had people complaining online that we got a free match between Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins. We will get into that. We had people complaining online about the leaked alleged cover of WWE 2K22, if you even care about such things. And also, Sid, for the last 2 weeks, we have been talking about something that probably ain't going to be happening. I'm going to ask the all-important question, did we waste our damn time? But first things first, we got to talk about it. Melo don't miss, and neither does Sean Rossap. And he had another bomb that he dropped today, an SRS bomb on FightfulSelect.com. So we'll start off with our lead story and the potential ramifications of it. Surprisingly enough, Cody Rhodes is supposedly a free agent. The reigning TNT Champion, one of the EVPs of AEW, is reportedly working with no contract whatsoever. Nothing in the front office, nothing as far as management's concerned, nothing as talent. He is working as a freelance contractor for AEW on basically a handshake agreement right now. Cody Rhodes could show up on Friday Night SmackDown if he wanted with the TNT Championship around his waist. Do I think he's going to do that? Hell to the nah. But this is very, very interesting. When this dropped on Monday afternoon, what was your initial reaction? And now that you've had some time to kind of stew on it, what are your thoughts on the fact that Cody Rhodes right now is a free agent?
On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 2022.
I knew you were going here with this.
An American hero has become a free agent as a symbol of slaves being set free. Cody Rhodes, you are
American,
an inspiration
for the rights of every man
to us all. I mean, I also, ladies and gentlemen, I have a direct quote from Cody Rhodes on January 17th, 2022. It is a direct quote. I can't tell you where I got it from. I can't tell you the sources because I just made them up. But Cody had to say, I have an American nightmare that one day my biracial little daughter will not be judged by the color of her skin, but by the content of my wrestling character. I have an American dream today. And yeah, I mean, he's inspirational in so many different ways. But to talk seriously
Something
about
wrong
it,
with you.
my initial reaction to this was wow. Like we heard the teases from Sean Rossap all day and yesterday that he had some big news. So when you see the initial headline of Cody Rhodes is a free agent, it catches you by surprise. It drops your jaw on the floor. But as I've done a couple of videos, as I've been able to talk about it and think about it more, this plays into Cody Rhodes and what he's doing on television right now. That is the key to all of this. And 9 times out of 10, when stories get leaked, if it ain't by my good brother Cassidy Haynes, AEW kind of conveniently it works out for them when these type of stories get leaked, especially by the one and only Sean Ross Sapp. But this can play into Cody's character. It's helped out WWE as well because the chatter on social media and online today was, oh, Cody Rhodes to the Royal Rumble. That's going to be the guy who walks through the forbidden door. I don't think that's going to happen. I would love for it to happen and watch the wrestling online world burn, but that's not going to happen. Cody Rhodes is one of the building blocks of All Elite Wrestling. If it wasn't for him and what the Young Bucks did at All In Chicago in 2018, I was there live on the floor. I witnessed it. That was the origin story of All Elite Wrestling. He has his fingerprints in the creation of an entire promotion. He's not going to leave. I don't think he's going to leave. Wrestling Observer has reported that they said Cody Rhodes is working on a new deal with AEW, but I guarantee you I just have a distinct feeling this will become a new element of his character.
I think if anything, if this is working up to be a play, like this was leaked on purpose, and I'm not saying that Sean Rossap is part of some ongoing storyline or something that's going to be used. That Sean's not that guy. What I will say is this might be used as some drama for Rhodes to the Top. The guy is in a reality show. This could be part of an angle that's being worked on there, something that they may be talking about there. Or it could be something as simple as, hey, I've been away for a while, so I haven't physically been able to sign my contract yet. It could be something
that actually doesn't work out because around the time when Sean Rossap in his report for Fightful, he said that his contract expired at the end of 2021. So either before or after they crowned him the TNT champion, so they had plenty of opportunities to sign him to a new deal. Either
understand that
He's been on television. He hasn't been off of TV. Before his contract expired, he had returned in September. He's been on TV for a number of months. He has been given opportunity. He has had opportunities to sign a new deal or to sit down with AEW. And if I'm AEW, if I'm a company and he's one of the building blocks, one of the EVPs, I would try to get the deal done before it expires. I think that Cody Rhodes, there's a reason behind this. That's why I'm saying I think that it's going to become a part of his on-screen character.
All I'm saying is we've heard it from two of their biggest signees in recent times that they wait till the final second to sign those damn contracts. It's almost like they get a handshake agreement and then they move forward with everything. And it's like, oh, hey, Daniel, you want to sign your contract real quick? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm 8 minutes for him getting ready to go out and make my debut. Yeah, let me sign this contract real quick. I'm saying they've overlooked some things like that before. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something like that. But more importantly, if I'm looking at this from Cody Rhodes' standpoint, this is a smart man. This is a very, very smart businessman. WWE is going to be interested in you because they would want to pull Cody Rhodes over, because Cody Rhodes, from what he's been able to do in AEW and what AEW has become, Cody Rhodes is way more valuable now
Yeah.
than he was before the start of AEW when WWE was trying to sign him back then. And Sean Ross Sapp, one of the most interesting things that he said during his live stream today on Fightful Select, again, subscribe, go to their YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're there, by the way, the Bleav in Pro Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. You could win free stuff. We'll have information on that coming up here soon. One of the most interesting things that he said was the contracts, the numbers on the contracts that he've heard for some people who have re-signed for WWE have been mind-blowing.
AEW.
Or no, he said for WWE.
He also said that in the report for Fightful Select that some of the numbers and the lengths of the contracts in AEW are different from what they.
Right. No,
what
that's
they
not what
were
I'm talking
believing.
about. What I'm talking about is the coin, the money
Mhm.
that WWE has been putting on top of their new deals. He said some of those numbers that he's heard have been astronomical. I don't know if that's the exact word I'm using. I'm paraphrasing there. I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, but he said some of those figures might shock you. So Cody Rhodes would be very, very smart to sit here and go, okay, what are y'all offering? Well, let's just talk. Let's just sit down and talk numbers, and then take that back to TK and say, hey, I love you. This is my company. I love the direction we're going here. I want to keep building this, but this is what they're offering. It'd be very, very hard for us to know what Cody's thought process is on this.
Yeah.
Don't know motivations of people. Don't know what really matters to this. Hell, Cody Rhodes could be sitting back looking, because there's also been reports that as far as like control of the company and EVP status for these guys, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, it's basically been in name only for a while right now. TK has been kind of running the show. So again, it all depends on how things actually are backstage. But Cody Rhodes could be sitting here looking at all the talent they brought in, all the talent they could be bringing in, and sitting here wondering, okay, where is my spot in this company now moving forward 3 years down the line? Would it make sense for me to move over to WWE, where maybe I could be in the main event scene over there, where there's a thin roster right now, especially with all the damn injuries? This roster is very, very thin right now, especially from, again, not a talent standpoint, but how the talent is booked. The main event scene is very thin right now. That's why we're getting Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns like that, because they didn't have any other backup plans. If I'm Cody Rhodes, maybe I'm looking at that. I don't know. What I will say is, because I'm not going to try and get into mind of anybody else, what I will say is never say never. I know that is a WWE line, but there is so many things that have happened in the last 18 months to 2 years that I never would have believed would have happened ever in pro wrestling. I never thought we would see CM Punk in a wrestling ring again. I never thought we'd see Daniel Bryan in a ring outside of WWE. I really didn't. I thought that guy was there. There have been so many different things that have happened. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, Cody Rhodes ain't going to be in the Royal Rumble. He could very easily just show up and do a one-off appearance and then go right back to AEW. He could. Why the hell not? Hell, he could show up in spot 12, get eliminated, show back up in spot 29 as Stardust, and win the damn thing. I don't know. We don't know what the hell.
I'll be the one to say it, ladies and gentlemen. Cody Rhodes is not going to be in the Royal Rumble, and I was with you. I was with you, and I was listening to you. I was with you along the way until you tried to make the point that Cody would be looking at AEW and then look at WWE like, oh, that's more tantalizing. In AEW, he has control. In WWE, he doesn't. That's the end of that discussion. The money thing is a great point. And that would be the reason why he would look at WWE, not for anything creatively or any position on the card, because he has no control over that. It can look great from the outside looking in, and they could tell you, oh, we got this plan for you, this plan for you. And in the case of what we talked about yesterday on the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast with Mustafa Ali, that can change at the drop of a dime.
Absolutely. But again, everybody has a price. So it depends.
Stick to the like I said, stick to the money thing. Don't tell me.
He has 100% creative control in AEW. He does, hands down. But how much is that worth to him?
It's worth a lot. From what we hear from Cody, if we take Cody Rhodes, all we can do is take Cody Rhodes at face value and what he said in the past. That's very important to him. But at the end of the day, money talks. So
Yes.
that would be if I was going to be the devil's advocate in this conversation, that would be the thing I would stick on and not try to make any type of hypothesis of Cody Rhodes thinking that, oh, it looks much better in
But here's the
WWE
thing, man,
where
when
Vince
you
McMahon
get
changes
it
his mind
starts
every
it
minute.
but it starts with the money and then the rest trickles down, right? It starts with the money and you go, okay, that's really, really good. But how can I position myself? How can I try to make this work? Hell, maybe he works out some kind of incentive where he gets the rights to Starrcade. Who the hell knows, man? Like, he might be able to work out some other stuff there. But all I'll say on this before we wrap this part up is it is very interesting. And anybody who's just writing this off as he's an AEW lifer and this is a slam dunk that this isn't going to lead anywhere, it was also a slam dunk that Kevin Owens was going to leave WWE and head over to AEW. There's no such thing as a slam dunk anymore. Money talks. That's all I'm going to say. And if Cody Rhodes is as smart as I think he is, he going to listen to that offer. That's all I'm going to say. Before we get into the 5 count here, we also had a confirmation. ESP3. I almost called you EC3 for some reason. I have a problem with 3 letters. I don't know
what's
why.
up with this guy, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know why. I'm just gonna start calling you by your legal name. Confirmation. Elimination Chamber confirmed February 19th. Another Saturday pay-per-view. Love that. In Saudi Arabia. So they are just no crown jewel, no none of that. Just, hey, here's our traditional Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and we're just gonna put it in Saudi Arabia. Your reaction?
I think it's a good decision. I mean, anytime you have already a pay-per-view in place, Elimination Chamber traditionally, even when it was No Way Out, is in February. It makes sense to put that a part of the Saudi Arabia kind of trip because in the past, the Super Showdowns and stuff like that, it's just been placeholder names for a glorified house show. You're coming
Correct.
off the heels of one of your Nah, I'm not gonna say it's not arguable. It's the best Saudi Arabia show that WWE has ever done, and now you're after that show where you had a match of the year candidate inside of Hell in a Cell, you're bringing over the Elimination Chamber. It's very cool. It's a nice thing to bring to those fans in Saudi Arabia that are going to be vocal, that are going to respond well. So hopefully WWE puts together a quality card coming off the heels of what I think is an all-time card for the Royal Rumble.
It's going to be a very, very quick build. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of rematches outside of the Elimination Chambers matches themselves.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we're going to get our 2 number 1 contenders from the Royal Rumble for 2 of the titles, and then we're going to figure out who our number 1 contenders are in 2 of the Elimination Chamber matches. That would be my guess. I prefer this than just trying to cram a random Saudi Arabia house show pay-per-view spectacular. Yeah. I prefer this 100%. Okay, fine. You want to put a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia? Put one that freaking matters. We know the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view matters. It's on the road to WrestleMania. I would have liked to have seen it pushed off just 1 more week because, again, 3 weeks of build to a pay-per-view, and then you have 5 or 6 leading up to WrestleMania.
To be honest, you don't need a big, long, or 4-week build for the Elimination Chamber. 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to do qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber. They're just going to rant on the very next episode.
They don't have enough women to do a qualifying matches for an elimination.
Also true. So they're just gonna name who's in the Elimination Chambers, probably on the Raw after Royal Rumble. So I don't have faith in WWE to give us 3 weeks of a build-up after they already named the people in the chamber.
All right, let's answer the 5 count here. The 5 biggest questions from the Monday that was the world of professional wrestling. A lot of this is going to be centered around Monday Night Raw, obviously, but a couple other nuggets we're going to add in this count as well. We'll start with number 1, which we're going to stay positive here, Sid. Positive. What was the best thing you saw on Monday Night Raw last night? What got you excited? What had you fired up?
I mean, Kevin Owens versus Damien Priest was a very good matchup. Those guys worked very well with each other, and it was the type of matchup where I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. So I wouldn't mind that being for, the United States title down the line. Chad Gable was absolutely outstanding
Yes,
during
he
his
was.
whole segment, the graduation for Alpha Academy. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. Same with Riddle, Arcade Bro. These I wish we got some of this before we got the title change. I think that I would have been more invested in that title change last week if we got some of this beforehand. So I really enjoyed that. The main event was good before the lame finish that I knew was gonna happen,
Yeah,
and
we'll get there.
so yeah. So the only thing that was good without me like having a nitpick or a complaint behind it is the RK Bro and Alpha Academy segment and the Damian Priest versus Kevin Owens match.
So it's amazing to me to think, because you look at the Raw tag team division, which, especially compared to the SmackDown tag team division, is actually really stacked. It's very nicely set
In
up. We
comparison,
actually
yeah.
had 4 legitimate actual tag teams in a match later on in the night, and then we had these two actual tag teams, and these were 2 teams that I was skeptical on when they both first got put together. Maybe I would have been more on board with Chad Gable and Otis if they had actually dived into their past together in real life and actually took that on screen. I would have dived into. I would have been like, okay, this actually makes sense, because at the time they just pulled Otis apart from Tucker and had them feud for no reason. They let Tucker go.
They didn't
And
even feud.
really, they didn't.
Don't
It was like a quick turn, and then Tucker was off TV.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and then it just seemed like a random pairing with Chad Gable. But I'll tell you what, man, Chad has really gotten an opportunity to shine and show WWE that they have badly missed out on all of the entertainment value that he brings as a character. We knew the guy could go in the ring. I mean, the guy's the freaking Olympian. We know he can go in the ring. We've seen in spurts what he can do. Guy had a 3-minute match with Randy Orton. That was one of the best 3-minute matches you will ever see. But he's funny. He's entertaining. He knows how to work with the crowd. He knows how to roll with the punches. He knows how to react with Otis. Otis, by the way, the bug eyes he gave when he started talking about academic challenge, he's like, oh God. Like, all of it worked. And then you add in Riddle, who more often than not, I just find his character annoying, and not in a good way. Occasionally he pops me.
I went to
But
college with a whole bunch of riddles, ladies and gentlemen. I went to college. That is like sometimes, yeah, they make him a caricature of what
yes,
he could
it's
be.
too
But
over the top sometimes.
but tonight that was perfect.
It was perfect.
That was pitch perfect, playing off of what Chad Gable offered.
All 4 of these guys work incredibly well with each other. WWE struck gold with this combo, Alpha Academy and RK Bro, and I hope they keep it going for a little while longer. I don't have sooner or later they're going to start the build to Orton versus Riddle, because I still think that that's going to be a WrestleMania match, and you can't tell me any different. But that whole segment right there, yes, absolute gold, by far the best thing I saw on the night. I do want to mention, just an honorable mention, I'm not saying it was the best thing I saw tonight. I'm not saying it's the best thing I saw out of her ever. I'm going to say I don't know if excited is the right word, because again, I'm not optimistic, especially when it comes to Nikki A.S.H., but I am encouraged by the direction that her character has started to go. The thing that killed it tonight was the random promo between Carmella and Queen Zelina, because they had no business being out there before that match. None whatsoever. They were basically used as pawns to create a distraction for Nikki to attack Rhea, and then we didn't even get the damn match. You want to know why? Because they're the only women's tag team that are left, and they literally didn't have anything else for them to do on the whole damn show, but that is a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Nikki, my God, her promo tonight, well, it was good. It wasn't anything earth-shattering. It was the best dialogue that she's gotten since she put on the mask, which again further proves your point, SP3, that they don't know how to write or book baby faces well at all. at all. And the best baby faces that they have on the whole damn show are the ones that get to talk for themselves.
Yep.
And I am encouraged by Nikki because you can see the storyline there. She believes that she's the hero in her own story, which we all want to believe that we are. And sometimes we're too damn blind to realize that we're in the wrong or we're actually the bad guy in this situation. And I think it is only going to further drive Nikki down this twisted path and maybe lead to maybe a combination of crazy Nikki with some kind of, work in with this new character. I'm encouraged by it. I'm not optimistic, but it's a lot better than what they've been having her do recently. And I'm looking forward to more of that. And I'm also hopeful that maybe this will lead to her and Alexa Bliss kind of finding some balance and getting back together as a team. Because once again, they need more tag teams.
All I can say is that sounds all fine and dandy, but AEW is doing that same story better with the aforementioned Cody Rhodes. So, yes, it was better dialogue than what Nikki A.S.H. usually gets, but
it's not a high bar.
I guess dirty water is better than dirt, I guess, because water is involved.
When we were pre-show prepping, texting, everything, I said, look, this ain't a high bar.
No.
It ain't a high bar. But I'm encouraged at the direction that she's heading, and I'm willing to, dare I say the dreaded words, let it play out. We will go to number 2 now. The aforementioned main event between Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. They announced this about 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time that this match was going to be on the show. Sean Rossap, Fightful.com again, saying that this was going to end up being the main event. And I can't tell you how many fans, how many members of the media I immediately saw start bitching about this match being set up for tonight. And it had a lot to do with the fact that Seth Rollins is competing for the Universal Championship in a week and a half. Bobby Lashley has this big matchup with Brock Lesnar coming up at the Royal Rumble, competing for the WWE Championship, and everything from I don't like this because neither one of these guys should be looking weak right now. They shouldn't be facing each other. They should be racking up wins heading into the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But also you got to look at Monday Night Raw and go, okay, we also got to put on some pretty damn good matches and some pretty good damn matchups. And Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins, at least for the wrestling fans, should be enough to get people invested in, stick around until the main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the funniest thing.
I think the booster's kicking in too much.
No, that's the funniest thing you've said on this show. Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins is supposed to inspire wrestling fans to sit through that 3-hour show to watch the match. I guarantee you the third hour is the lowest hour of Raw. So
that's not saying that the third hour is always the lowest hour.
No, but everything you said didn't make any sense. How are people complaining if they knew what was going to happen? Yes, these are the two number one contenders. The number one contender for the WWE title versus the number one contender for the Universal title. Neither should be losing. Both should be winning. Why do you put these two together when we know the finish is going to be lame or bad? There's a balance between putting on your best card possible,
which is the question.
And protecting your talent.
Number 2, by the way, and before SP3 went on his rant and started laughing at me before I even finished the damn question, what is more important, putting on the best card possible or protecting the talent?
There's a balance. There's a balance to this, ladies and gentlemen. And where was Big E on this show? I honestly would have taken the Big E story continuing. Give us Big E versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley beats Big E. You continue the Big E story that he hasn't regained his confidence since day one, and that the Royal Rumble is his next opportunity.
But then people are gonna bitch that we saw a rematch, that we saw a match that we saw last week.
This was a rematch. Ladies and gentlemen, if people were any of the stuff you've complained about or said that people were bitching about are legitimate, just
That's
observation.
the question.
It's observation. It's not complaining, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you felt like Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins shouldn't be facing on this episode of Raw because WWE is incapable of giving us a good or decent or enjoyable finish to that match, you were absolutely right. I think there's a balance between putting on your best card possible or protecting the talent. And if you're building up one of the all-timer Royal Rumble cards, the more important thing is protecting your talent. And like I said, I just gave you another option that is also a main event because Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins versed on that episode where Bobby Lashley turned babyface and beat all three guys in the WWE title picture. But, you didn't mention that if people complain about that, but people probably didn't complain about that because they don't remember that. But I didn't say a rematch from last week. I said Big E versus Bobby Lashley. That hasn't happened.
Just get that last week?
No, we didn't. We got Big E versus Seth Rollins.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Come on. Like, I gave you a matchup that hasn't been done in a few weeks. It hasn't been done since the same amount of time we last saw Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley, ladies and gentlemen. So I gave you a better option. Protect your talent. Bobby Lashley versus Big E is a better option for the show. Keep Seth on just the Kevin Owens show. All this was a setup for Bobby Lashley to once again beat up the Hurt Business and the Usos to get the super kick on Seth Rollins they didn't get on SmackDown. And once again, what happened to the draft? What happened to the only time a year Raw and SmackDown interact? Like, oh,
dude, that went out the window when they put Seth Rollins in this title match.
Oh, God.
You knew that went out the window. The brand split.
I'm fine with
Seth. Damned right now.
I'm fine.
You got too many injuries on SmackDown. Brand split be damned. You got too many damn injuries on SmackDown.
Fine with Seth Rollins going on SmackDown. I'm fine with Roman Reigns going on Raw. I'm fine with Brock Lesnar going on both shows, and Bobby Lashley going over to SmackDown to confront Brock Lesnar. The Usos have been appearing on Monday Night Raw consistently, it seems, since they've been drafted to SmackDown. That's my issue. It's not about the brand split. Be damn, Seth Rollins is versus somebody from SmackDown, so you shouldn't expect the brand split to be respected. I am talking about the Usos for what seems like the 5th or 6th time being SmackDown Tag Team Champions on Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, a lot of that happened during the one time only that Raw and SmackDown face off against each other in the build to Survivor Series. So a lot of that happened there, which was post-draft. And honestly, as far as the storyline standpoint, it makes sense because Roman will send his cousins anywhere to do his bidding for him. So that I don't mind either so much. I'll tell you what, when this matchup first got announced, by the way, to answer the question, I really didn't have that big of an issue with it because I think this is one of those things that people just get. They immediately go to the end. Did I know that this match was going to end in a disqualification? Yes, of course I did. So the argument of sitting here saying everybody needs to, these guys need to be winning matches and they need to be looking as strong as possible. Yeah, that matters for somebody that you're building up like, oh, I don't know, Liv Morgan. Like Liv Morgan needs to rack up wins. Doudrop needs to rack up wins before she's fighting for a title. Does Bobby Lashley need to rack up wins to hike up his?
I'm not even talking about hiking up wins. I'm talking about book a match where you can have a good finish. That's all I want. That's all I want.
This was a storyline progression finish.
It didn't progress any stories. All the Usos did is what they didn't do on SmackDown, and they could have done on SmackDown this week, and they just pushed it up a couple of days.
Well, I'll tell you what, they telegraphed how Brock Lesnar is going to win this matchup against freaking Bobby Lashley, the Royal Rumble. You know the Hurt business is going to get involved and cause a distraction now. At least they're continuing that kind of victory.
So disappointing. We get Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, and the freaking Hurt Business interferes. Oh my God, that would be deflating. Like that, honestly, that type of finish would ruin the whole card. I expect, like, you want to say you should expect these things. I expect a shady finish to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns because
we're probably going to get both title matches with shady finishes. To be completely honest.
I hope not. I hope just keep.
They're going to want to keep looking They're going to want to keep having Lashley look strong.
He can look strong in a loss against Lesnar. Are you telling me this company can't make Lashley look strong by losing to Brock Lesnar?
They can't. They could, but will they? I don't know. I don't have faith in them to do that. I think look, tonight in a bubble, I don't have a problem with anything WWE did. The issue is they do this stuff too much to a point where when it kind of makes a little bit of sense to do it, it's overkill because they do this over and over and over and over and over. We see so many main events with DQ finishes and, shenanigans that happen throughout the main event. We see this all the time at the point where it actually makes a little bit of sense and it's actually okay to do it in a bubble. It's not, because we see it all the damn time and they just browbeat us with it. And it's to the point where, yeah, when we get a clean finish, we're actually pleasantly surprised. That's the bigger issue here. Tonight, I don't have a problem. If you want to give me Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins on free TV, I'm never going to complain. And I enjoyed it right up until the damn finish.
I am when you book yourself into a corner that we knew the result of how you would get out of it.
That's another conversation for another day.
It's the same conversation. You're just trying to make it something else.
One of the more shocking finishes of the night, kind of a clean finish, but kind of not. Damien Priest suffered his first pinfall loss in one-on-one competition. Let's just forget the fact that he lost a handicap match to a man with his pants down. Damien Priest pinned 1, 2, 3 in singles competition for the first time since he's been brought up in January of last year. Quite an impressive run. Say what you want about his character development over the last few months, but this guy has been booked about as well as you can ask an NXT call-up to be booked. Kevin Owens, I'm looking at this man. He declared himself for the Royal Rumble tonight. Do I think he has a prayer of winning that? No, I do not. I do not believe for a second that we are going to get Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania for the second time in 3 years. Which, by the way, I'm sitting here, Kevin Owens is talking about that tonight, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why the hell are these two best friends all of a sudden when, like, 2 years ago, they were at each other's throats at WrestleMania? But anyway.
You just started asking yourself that?
I just kind of remember, like I said, you'll for those people who are new to me and Sid, you will have to understand something. My memory is terrible. You just saw case in point 2 seconds ago where I got confused and thought that we saw Lashley versus Big E last week and it was Seth Rollins and Big E. So you'll have to excuse me. I'm well aware that my memory is not nearly as good as Sid's, who basically has a photographic memory when it comes to wrestling. There's a reason why he's on this program, is because he's damn good and I'm just a loudmouth. But anywho, Kevin Owens tonight pins Damien Priest. I firmly believe that Damien Priest will be in the WWE or Universal title picture before the end of 2022. Before that happens, the United States title needs to come off of him. You could do a whole lot worse than Kevin Owens, who's going to need a match at WrestleMania. Damien Priest and Kevin Owens, that would be a feud I would be perfectly fine watching all the way up and through WrestleMania. So I will ask, number 3 of the 5 count, should Kevin Owens be the one to take the United States Championship off of Damien Priest?
That's an interesting option. I'm going to say no, not because I'm not a Kevin Owens fan. It's because I am a Kevin Owens fan. And the last time they put the United States Championship on him, he had that whack America gimmick and all that. He came out in a suit. It lasted about 3 weeks, and then he just started dressing the same again. Like, it went nowhere, and they had no direction for it. And I can totally see them trying to do that again. So that's the only reason I say no. But I want to see Kevin Owens feud with Damien Priest, because it could be nothing but good from what we saw tonight. The match of the night on Monday Night Raw was Kevin Owens and Damien Priest. Actually got this quiet crowd into the show. So I have to give them credit for that. I just don't think Kevin Owens should be the one to take the United States Championship off of him. Plus, to me, if that's the first thing he wins after signing a $3 million contract, my dude, I don't know. I know the money good, but as far as your career, as far as the direction or where you feel you should be on the card, I don't think winning the United States Championship is the best thing for Kevin Owens. Rollins. I rather had them explore the story with him and Seth Rollins as a tag team. They seem to not be going in that direction, but I enjoyed their interactions together enough that if Seth Rollins is just going to be the champion for a WrestleMania season, I want them to still be friends for after WrestleMania season and get in the tag team picture then.
That would make an already crowded tag team division even more crowded. But by that point, we expect RK Bro to be split up anyway. So they would really just be kind of filling one slot. So
exactly.
I understand where you're going.
You replace one super team with another super team. It's pretty simple. Exactly. And I disagree. I think that Damien Priest can get a shot at the Universal WWE Championship in 2022. I don't think he's going to be in the main event picture. WWE, it takes him a while. I know he's about to be 40 years old.
Exactly. They need to pull the trigger sooner rather than later.
I don't see him being in the picture or being a main event player until his 42nd birthday.
So what 2024? That's what you're thinking for Damien Priest at this point? I think they're going to pull the trigger sooner rather than later. And you can tell by the way that he's booked that they have plans for him. I'm not saying it's going to be May. It could be November. It could be December. He could win that damn thing at day 1, 2023. I think I just have a feeling the way that they're booking him that they have plans for him to be in that title picture sooner rather than later. Definitely before he turns 42. Should Kevin Owens be the guy to take it off of him? Again, yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of better options at the moment. I would say Finn Balor would be a hell of an option that would give him something better to do than
Austin Theory.
Than doing the job Austin Theory. Austin Theory does make a ton of sense. It all depends on what you want to do with that championship. Do you want to use the title to elevate into the superstar, or do you want to use a superstar who can maybe elevate that championship up? Because we've seen guys like Seth Rollins win a mid-card title before and then make that the most important damn thing on the show. Did that with the Intercontinental title. I think Kevin Owens would be a really, really fun United States champion. I'm not saying that Damian Priest has been a bad United States champion. I think he's cooled off ever since they decided to take Damian Priest and turn him into two people. He had a really, really cool, fun, likable gimmick that people, or it wasn't even a gimmick. He was just being him. He was just being a really cool dude. Like, what was wrong with that?
WWE don't like people being them.
You know what I would love? You know what I would love? I would love for Kevin Owens to win the United States Championship and turn it into the Canadian Championship. Pull the Lance Storm. I think Kevin Owens could have a lot of freaking fun with that.
I'll be honest with you. I've already seen Kevin Owens as a heel with the United States Championship. If this was the Kevin Owens from a year ago that was a babyface, I'd be more optimistic about this option because I feel like Kevin Owens as a babyface winning the United States Championship would be something, he could be something akin to John Cena in 2015 and have the open challenge because he's the prize fighter and he wants to fight anyone for his championship, something like that. Kevin Owens as a heel, I already feel like we are about a month away from this getting old again.
I'll say this much. Kevin Owens is kind of like the new Big Show. He's a babyface 1 month. He's a heel another month. They can flip him right back. Doesn't matter. The crowd loves him. It's very easy to flip him back into a babyface, and they could do that really quickly. Moving on to number 4. You and I, Sid, have spent a great deal of time since this show started talking about the Forbidden Door and possible entrance into the Royal Rumble ever since that report came out from WrestleVotes. No, Twitterverse, this isn't fans making up nonsense. This was an actual report from somebody who has been correct on backstage things before. And all the report is that WWE would like to and is working on pulling in some mystery Forbidden Door entrant into the Royal Rumble, which a lot of us then went into speculation mode, started talking about who we'd like to see, who we want to be, who it should be, who we think it's going to be. And we had thrown out everybody under the damn sun, and AEW makes a ton of sense because that's the biggest splash, right? Because the report said unexpected.
Yeah.
So when you think unexpected, you immediately go to AEW. Yep. Now, we spent a great deal of time on yesterday's show talking about one Jon Moxley and how or why it would make sense for him to show up and how or why we think he's going to show up based on what we've seen on WWE TV. And, of course, while we're recording the damn episode, Wrestling Observer comes out and says, absolutely no involvement with AEW whatsoever, specifically mentioned Jon Moxley and said that he isn't going to be on the show. So SP3, I will ask you, did we waste our damn time the last 2 weeks talking about this?
No, because I gave y'all the best advice possible when it comes to speculating on the Royal Rumble. Set your expectations for D'Lo Brown, and if it's someone bigger than that, we'll all be surprised. We'll all be happy. If it's D'Lo, we'll all be like, "Oh man, SP3 was right." If it's someone below that, then we got an issue. But there's more options that are going to be positive if we set our expectations for a D'Lo Brown. I've played with the option of Jon Moxley. I've told you why Bryan Danielson wouldn't make sense. I played with the idea of Cody Rhodes on this very episode, but I kind of knew AEW wasn't going to get involved. It wasn't going to be someone from AEW jumping over to the Royal Rumble. So I don't think anybody wasted their time. It's just wrestling fans having fun, speculating, fantasy booking. So it's never wasting time.
Exactly. And that's my whole point. It's like I'm seeing people whose opinions I respect, who work for media outlets. I'm not going to call them out. They're allowed to have their opinions. And I think a lot of them have been in the game so long that they're just kind of jaded and kind of over some things. But
guys, see people, this is how you know this is Rick Show, because I mention people's names. I don't care. I burn bridges. Rick Ucchino is a professional. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm not saying that
I haven't gotten to where I'm at in my life, which is nowhere, by not kissing some ass. No, I'm kidding. What I will say is this is supposed to be fun. That's the thing. And the most fun I get out of being a wrestling fan is honestly fantasy booking and thinking about the possibilities and going, man, wouldn't that be so damn cool? And thinking, my God, imagine the reaction if MJF's music hit at the Royal Rumble and then he cut a damn promo on CM Punk, which was the exact option that I laid out if I'm WWE, who I'm trying to get over and why. And then SP3 called me an idiot. But anyway, like that's the whole fun of all of this. That's the fun of all of this, is the fantasy book and talk about what we want to do. That's why we do the show. We do the show to have fun and to entertain ourselves and hopefully entertain you. So no, we didn't waste our time. We aren't one of these idiots who actually thought Jon Moxley would be there. Again, the question we posed yesterday is, does he make the most sense if they could pull it off? Always had that caveat there. If they could pull it off. We never guaranteed that somebody would be there. Now, to steal a Dave Meltzer line, by the way, from the Wrestling Observer, we're still 9 days out. Plans can always change. Absolutely. It could be no AEW involvement as of Monday, January 17th. And then as of Wednesday, January 19th, somebody could agree to come on over. TK could sign that contract and say, yeah, sure, go on over. Do whatever you do. So plans can always change. Surprises always happen last minute. Who the hell knows what we're going to get at the Royal Rumble? But that report, Sid, all you were asking for was some intrigue around the men's Royal Rumble match. That report from WrestleVotes on Twitter, it did just that. It added some intrigue. It added some intrigue, and it gave me a question to ask Kofi Kingston in our interview, which, by the way, is up right now on the Bleav in Pro Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, damn it. Make sure to subscribe.
Even after this report came out, the Cody news caused people to think he's going to go to the Royal Rumble. So It's done nothing but good for WWE. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce that I will officially be Rick Ucchino's anger translator, and the journalist he was talking about, I will use alias Raymond Siri from Sports Entertainment Corporation. We coming for you, Nincompoop.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know who anybody. Number 5, SP3. Before we wrap up, number 5. Boy, people get mad online all the damn time about nothing. And something leaked out. Talk about leaks, talk about reports. This leaked out earlier this week on Twitter. Bam! WWE 2K22 Deluxe Edition. There is a very colorful image of Rey Mysterio on the cover. And people actually had an issue with this, and this is one thing that I had to ask. Did people actually care about who was on the cover of WWE 2K22 before that came out? Was anybody sitting there going, oh my God, it should be this guy. It should be that person. I can't wait to see who's on the cover. This ain't Madden. Anybody remember the last game, which arguably had the best marketing campaign and one of the best covers and a historic cover in WWE 2K20? And then all of a sudden, it was so damn bad that they didn't even put out a game the following year. And people got upset about this.
I mean, people got excited about Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch being on that last one. I mean, I don't care. I haven't cared who's been on the cover of a WWE game since CM Punk was on the cover back in 2014, 2015. I don't care. It does not matter. There's no curse involved with this like it is with Madden. It's not based on who's one of the better players or better wrestlers in the world. It's literally who WWE wants to make their marketing about. Who cares? Why do people make such a big deal out of this? Why are people saying negative things about one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, Rey Mysterio, because he's on the cover of WWE 2K? God. See, this is why I didn't complain. I said the fans didn't complain before. They were making observations about WWE making poor decisions. Now, this is just fans complaining. I don't understand it. I never will.
If I had my option, would I have picked Rey Mysterio this year? Probably not. Probably not.
I would have.
Why?
Huh?
Why? Why would you?
It's the 25-year anniversary of his match against Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc. Of course, I would pick Rey Mysterio.
Okay. I'd go with somebody who's maybe a little bit more heavily featured on TV.
Not only do I have photographic memory, ladies and gentlemen, I can do math very fast in my head, and that's how I figured out it's the 25-year anniversary of when he.
I'm very impressed that you came up with some kind of rationale. That you pulled that out of your ass that quickly. If I had to pick, if you put a gun to my head and said, "Hey, pick somebody," I'd go with the guy I'd do it like they do with Madden. I would go with the guy who was maybe like one of the biggest stars of last year. But who dominated last year? It was Roman Reigns, right? Like Roman Reigns dominated. He was already on the
cover in 2020.
Which is why maybe I'd go with Bianca Belair. I go with Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks and do kind of like, hey, history was made in 2021. I would do like an homage cover to them and have those two ladies be on it. That would have been my choice. I'm not going to get mad at Rey. Who cares? I'm not going to get mad that Rey Mysterio's on the damn cover. He's an icon. He's a wrestling icon. He's recognized all over the damn world. Put him on your freaking cover. I don't care. It's a kick-ass cover. Look at this. That's a kick-ass. If that turns out to be the cover, that's an awesome cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why Rey Mysterio is a better option than Bianca Belair is because he's going to do the 2K showcase where they cover his career and you get to, relive and play in his actual career, which I think is going to be very cool. I want to do Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. I want them to have the outfit from Halloween Havoc 1997. So I have no issue with Rey Mysterio being on the cover.
I'm very interested in this game, by the way. Not that I'm actually going to play it because I haven't had time to turn on a video game in 10 years. But I'm very interested in this game because I think this might be the first wrestling game that's ever put out where the alumni section is actually bigger than the active roster. He is SP3. I'm Rick Ucchino. Thank you guys for joining us for the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn those notifications on. Follow this man at TrueHeelSP3. Follow me at Rick Ucchino, RickUcchino, for those who are listening on the podcast right now. And by the way, if you do all three of those things, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you follow SP3, if you follow myself on Twitter, you are registered to win a $50. I said 50. Yeah, $50 gift card to WWE Shop.com. All right, so if they put up one of those big promotions and say 50% off titles and tees tonight, you will have the opportunity to get a little bit more percentage off. $50. Okay, it doesn't go a whole long way on WWEshop.com.
Hey, that's at least one free shirt.
You can get something nice. We're going to be giving that away Royal Rumble weekend, which is right around the damn corner. So you better get registered. SP3 and I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, as long as that booster shot doesn't kick your ass. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Sid's already passed out. Have a great